I see a lot of fragmented aspects of gut health on the internet. This crash course puts everything into a place where you can understand what's going on and why you would take certain steps, and help you understand what your body actually needs so you can take action confidently that feels really good to you and actually creates relief. When I implemented the gut healing method that I'm going to share with you, a few things changed for me, including I overcame a food sensitivity, my energy, mood, and focus improved, my digestion became more regular, and my skin, hair, and nails all got healthier. Welcome to Be Youer, where we talk about healing and creating a soul-aligned life of freedom so you can live fully alive and true to yourself. I'm happy you're here. Welcome to the fourth part of the Beyond Band-Aid series, a series that helps you heal from the root to live up to your full potential. This series is written as blog post on my Substack, where you can find the written post and the podcast format, or you can listen or watch on my podcast, Be Youer. Part 4 of the Beyond Band-Aid series is the Gut Health and Detox Crash Course. It's all about chronic infection and digestion, which is related to gut health, and how to support the body in detoxing. They go hand in hand. I know gut health is talked about a lot, and it seems like a trend, and you may not be sure if you should jump onto it. But the health of our gut is the foundation of how we feel every day. And if I had to pick just one thing for you to focus on, it would be this. As complicated as gut health may seem, the steps to improve it are actually pretty simple. And if you already started implementing some things from the earlier posts in this series, you're already on your way. I'll be using my written blog post to guide me along through this podcast, so you can always refer back to this written blog post. I'll start by breaking down what gut health is. It refers to the well-being of our entire digestive system, from the mouth to the bowel. Our gut is responsible for breaking down food, absorbing nutrients, and eliminating waste. And inside of our gut, there are trillions of microorganisms, like bacteria, that make up what's called the gut microbiome. These microbes, or microorganisms, help digest food, regulate immunity, so fight sickness, and even influence our mood and energy levels. And because of this, gut health is really connected to all areas of our health. There are a few key aspects to gut health that I'm going to explain right now. First is the microbiome, so that's the balance of good and bad microorganisms. We're talking about the gut microbiome, so all the way from the mouth to the bowels. But just so you know, you also have a microbiome on your skin and different areas of the body. Next, we have the gut lining. It's kind of like the wall of the gut, and it determines what enters the bloodstream. So the integrity of that lining is very important. This is where leaky gut comes into play, which I'll explain. Next is our stomach acid, which is really important for breaking down food and absorbing nutrients. Also, the nervous system. There is a brain-gut connection that influences digestion and overall well-being. And also stress and emotions. Suppressed emotions and chronic stress can really disrupt digestion and contribute to all of the gut health issues that we're going to talk about. And when gut health is compromised, it can contribute to many things. So nutrient deficiencies, like imbalances in those gut microbes and poor digestion, prevent proper absorption of nutrients from our food. When I say the word pathogenic or pathogen, it means some type of microorganism like bacteria, virus, yeast, fungi that can cause disease. So pathogenic microbes can steal our nutrients as well. They use that as fuel for themselves and they take it from your body. Also toxins. Harmful microbes release toxins and they feed on toxins that are already in our body. So they work together. And then infections. Many illnesses stem from an overgrowth of harmful microorganisms or pathogenic microorganisms. When we have an infection, those microorganisms are what the infection is. Also, mood and behavior shifts. So the microbes in our gut influence cravings, irritability, and even decision making. They have a huge impact on the brain and how we think. And another big one is disconnection from our intuition. You know how they call it a gut feeling? So when your gut is disrupted, it can actually make it harder to tap in and feel those gut feelings or our inner guidance system. Let's talk about some signs of poor gut health. So since the gut is connected to nearly every system in the body, Poor gut health can show up in surprising ways. It's not just about digestion, but imbalances in the gut can also lead to other things. So think about, of course, digestive issues like gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, nausea, acid reflux, or frequent stomach aches. That's definitely something related to gut health. But also chronic fatigue and poor sleep. So this is something I dealt with a lot, feeling exhausted no matter how much you sleep. And also struggling to fall or stay asleep is another aspect of it. Mood and mental health struggles, anxiety, depression, mood swings, or feeling easily overwhelmed can all be related to gut health. Skin issues like acne, rosacea, eczema, psoriasis, and random rashes that won't go away. Weight struggles, difficulty losing or gaining weight, even with healthy eating and exercise. Pain and inflammation, joint pain, muscle aches, or unexplained body stiffness. Also, food intolerances. If you start to notice things like bloating, nausea, or discomfort after eating certain foods, even if they're seemingly healthy. And autoimmune and thyroid issues. So issues like Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, and mysterious symptoms with no clear cause. So if you do have any or some of those symptoms, gut health could be a really big key factor in getting relief from those problems. Let's talk a little bit more about the microbiome. Our gut is home to trillions of microorganisms from bacteria, fungi, viruses, and more that are collectively known as the microbiome. And I'm going to make it simple by considering the microbes either good microbes or bad microbes. So good microbes like probiotics help us to digest our food, to absorb nutrients, and to keep harmful and pathogenic microbes in check. Now, bad microbes like parasites, yeast overgrowth, viruses, certain bacteria steal nutrients, release toxins, and contribute to illness and disease. So ideally, good microbes outnumber the bad, keeping everything balanced. But when this balance is off, it's called dysbiosis, and it can trigger a domino effect of health issues. And dysbiosis in this modern world is actually very common, and the degree to which it's imbalanced varies, but it's obviously good to get ahead of this. So bad microbes kind of mess with us or actively harm us by stealing our nutrients, which leads to deficiencies, low energy, and sluggish digestion. They release toxins, which overload our detox pathways and create inflammation. They hijack our cravings, making us crave sugar, which is their favorite source of fuel. They influence our mood, and they can even interfere with neurotransmitters and create anxiety and depression. So sometimes these bad microbes cause some type of infection that requires treatment, like say you get an ear infection. But other times they just fly under the radar and they create chronic symptoms like fatigue, bloating, brain fog, things we just start to accept or just kind of deal with and not trace back to gut health and basically chronic infection. Now let's talk about the power of good microbes. So supportive microbes are the body's natural defense team. They break down food and help us absorb nutrients. They boost the immune system, fighting off invaders. They help clear waste, preventing bloating and sluggish digestion. And they produce feel-good chemicals that impact mood and mental clarity. So when this microbiome is balanced, we feel energized, clear-headed, and in tune with our bodies. But gut health is not just about microbes. There are other factors. So one of those factors is digestion. Digestion is how our bodies break down food into nutrients for energy, growth, and repair. And it begins as soon as we start chewing our food. It actually begins even before then when we start salivating over food. But when we start to chew our food, that really starts the process. Manually chewing starts to break down the food. And then it continues through the stomach and intestines where it's up to acids, enzymes, and gut bacteria to finish that process of digesting the food. And anything the body doesn't need ideally should be eliminated as waste. So when we don't have healthy digestion, that means that it's interfering with our ability to absorb the nutrients, to remove the waste efficiently, and to obviously feel our best. So what does digestion need to work well? It needs adequate stomach acid, which helps break down the food and kill harmful microbes. It needs balanced gut bacteria, which we talked about with the microbiome. That helps us to digest the food and absorb the nutrients. And proper chewing. This is the only mechanical step in digestion before it enters the gut, and everything else is based on like stomach acid, enzymes, microbes. So something that is actually directly in your control is to get better with chewing your food really thoroughly. And a lot of people don't think about this, but a lot of people do only bite their food like a couple times before swallowing it. So this is something that actually can make a really big difference. It's like underrated. And it's just so easy. It's just a habit that needs to be formed. So what happens to our body when we have good digestion versus poor? So with good digestion, the food is broken down properly, the nutrients are absorbed and used where needed, and waste is efficiently removed. So you can see this just is a healthy digestive system that leads to a healthy body that feels good. Now, if you have poor digestion, the food isn't necessarily broken down all the way, which leads to bloating and discomfort. And nutrients aren't properly absorbed, which cause deficiencies, which causes a chain of other issues. And leaky gut develops, which allows food particles to enter the bloodstream and triggers inflammation. And toxins and waste aren't eliminated properly and circulate in the body, which cause symptoms. So you can see why I say gut health is like the number one thing to think about. Let's talk a little bit about leaky gut. Leaky gut occurs when the lining of the gut becomes too permeable, and this allows food particles, proteins, and microbes to leak into the bloodstream. Normally, the gut lining acts as a protective barrier, and it keeps undigested food and harmful substances out of circulation in the bloodstream. But when it becomes damaged or weakened, unwanted particles slip through. And this is a problem because the immune system sees these food particles as invaders. And if you think about it, when you get a certain virus, you build immunity because the next time that virus comes into contact with you, your body automatically recognizes it as an invader and knows how to fight it. Well, you don't want that to happen with a food particle, right? Because as you eat that food, your body recognizes it as an invader, almost like a virus. This can lead it to end up attacking every time you eat that certain food, which creates a lot of inflammation. And over time can lead to food sensitivities, chronic inflammation, and even autoimmune diseases as the body is mistakenly attacking itself. Leaky gut is really difficult to diagnose. You can't just go to your doctor and get some test that proves that you have it or to what degree you have it. But a lot of people experience that their symptoms improve when they start to support healing that gut lining. Here are some signs of leaky gut that can kind of help you assess what's going on with you. So any type of chronic inflammation or autoimmune issues, ongoing constipation, diarrhea, or bloating, nutrient deficiencies, even with a healthy diet, fatigue, brain fog, or headaches, skin issues like acne, rashes, or eczema, and joint pain or unexplained body aches. So a lot of these symptoms kind of overlap with the others. That's kind of why it's not necessarily super important that you know every single diagnosis or detail of what's going on. When you start to see patterns and you realize, okay, gut health is something to focus on, these solutions are so natural and non-invasive that it's really easy to start making slight changes and see how your body reacts and responds. Let's talk about stomach acid. Our stomach acid should be extremely acidic, between a pH of 1 to 2, and this is necessary to properly break down our food and protect us from any pathogens that enter our system. And there's a really common misconception that acid reflux happens because the stomach acid is too acidic, but in reality, it's often the opposite. So acid reflux often occurs because the stomach acid is actually not acidic enough, and the reason being is because you have this lower esophageal sphincter, the LES, and it's a valve that prevents stomach acid from rising too high, right? And it closes when it recognizes that stomach acid is coming up. But if the stomach acid is not acidic enough, that LES may not recognize it and allow it to pass through, which creates the acid reflux. And with that logic, if stomach acid were adequate, the LES would remain shut, preventing this acid reflux issue. So if you're wondering if you have inadequate stomach acid that is not acidic enough, some signs of it are acid reflux, bloating, burping, or gas after meals, nausea after eating or taking supplements, undigested food in stool, dry skin, and cracked fingernails. There's also a simple way to test for low stomach acid. It's called the HCL challenge. It's a straightforward way to assess and potentially support your stomach acid levels. It uses betaine HCl with pepsin. Always talk to your doctor before trying or adding any new supplement or before trying this. Don't do this if you have active gastritis, esophagitis, duodenitis, ulcers, or are currently taking any antacid medication. But if you wanted to try it, start with 1 capsule of betaine hydrochloride or HCl before your largest meal of the day. This is also known as a stomach acid supplement, and I take these with every meal. So when you start, you just take 1 and you pay attention to how your body reacts. If you experience a warming or burning sensation in your stomach or upper abdomen, or feel like mildly acidic, like you have indigestion, that means that your stomach acid levels are likely sufficient. So you can stop taking the supplement and you can just reassess every year or so, because this can change as you age. Stomach acid actually gets less acidic with age and stress. But if you have no reaction, which is pretty common for a lot of people, then you can increase the dose by 1 capsule. So taking like 2 capsules before your largest meal the next day. And you keep going through this process until you feel a warming sensation. And it's capped at 14 capsules. Don't take more than that. I have taken 7. There was a time when I first started this that I was taking 7. So if you need several capsules to feel any type of response, this is a sign of low stomach acid. Once you identify your threshold, which is the number of capsules that causes a warming sensation, rather than stop supplementing, just reduce the dose by 1 capsule so you don't get that warming sensation, and then take that amount with your meals. And then you will gradually be able to reduce that dose over time. Anytime that warming sensation returns, you lower the dose by a capsule. And this process is meant to naturally restore stomach acid production. I also linked a study that uses this method and that explains this method, so I will link that in the show notes and it is on the blog post. Let's talk about what impacts gut health, because this can help you identify if it's likely a problem for you if you start to think about these factors and how your life has gone up to this point. So when we explore these things, it's important not to blame or feel guilty about past decisions, whether it's about yourself, your parents, your doctors. Like, everyone was doing the best they could with the information they had at the time. The real blame should be directed at industries that have been aware of the consequences of these things, yet chose to exploit us for profit. So here are some of the factors that influence our gut health. The health of our parents and their microbiomes. So our microbiome begins to develop before birth, and the health of both of our parents play a huge role in shaping it. So factors like our mother's health during pregnancy, including stress, and also whether we were born via C-section, can have lasting impacts. Babies born vaginally benefit from the transfer of beneficial microbes, which is why C-sections can alter the microbalance. And this is recognized in modern medicine. This is why the practice of vaginal seeding happens in hospitals. It's where they transfer vaginal fluids with a swab to a newborn after a C-section. Also, breastfeeding. The longer a baby is breastfed, the more beneficial microbes are being transferred to the baby, which supports a healthier gut microbiome. Also, the food we were fed. So real whole foods nourish good microbes in our gut. So healthy eating in general just really helps support good bacteria in the gut. And then processed foods, sugar, and toxic additives feed bad microbes and irritate the gut lining. So things like GMO crops, which are designed to withstand pests by producing substances that disrupt the pests or bugs' digestive systems, may have similar effects on our own gut. Like, we are way bigger than pests, but it's worth considering how these modified crops could be affecting our digestive health over time. So my point is, the food we've been fed ever since we were little all the way till now has an impact on our gut health. Also, medications. Common medications like antibiotics, proton pump inhibitors, over-the-counter drugs, and NSAIDs like ibuprofen can disrupt the microbiome and lead to imbalances. Also, toxic exposure, like exposure to heavy metals, chemicals like glyphosate, and toxins in the food, water, air, beauty products, lawn care, all those types of things can have a really negative effect on our gut health. And glyphosate in particular is sprayed on lawns and crops. And that's why I try to choose organic food, because the herbicides and pesticides have chemicals like glyphosate in them, which then get into our bodies and create so much harm. And if you're not aware about glyphosate, just Google it. It's related to cancer. It's just an awful, awful, awful substance. Also, the quality of the water we've been consuming. Tap water contains so many harmful substances like heavy metals, chlorine, pesticides, herbicides, and even residual pharmaceuticals. It also introduces pathogenic microbes, the bad microbes, which is one of the reasons we might get sick when we go to a new state or a new country and drink their water. Purified water from a really good filter, such as a reverse osmosis filter, is best for making sure you have clean water and protecting your gut health. And I talked a lot about this in part 2, the overlooked basics, but I also linked our reverse osmosis filter here in this post as well. Also, any trauma, stress, and the state of our nervous system all can impact our gut health. So trauma in childhood, which is studied in the Adverse Childhood Event or ACE studies, and ongoing stress both impact that gut-brain connection and create gut dysbiosis, which is that imbalance where you have more bad microbes and less good. Also, the way we were treated, how much love we received, and emotional trauma have a really big impact on the microbiome. Again, I went into more detail in part 2, Overlooked Basics, and I linked some resources there. Also, soil quality. The depletion of soil nutrients from conventional agriculture or farming, practices like monocropping, farming on the same soil year after year, and using chemicals, all of that affects the soil in a way that affects the quality of the crops and the food that is grown in the soil. And then in turn, when we eat it, it affects our gut health. Biodynamic farming and regenerative agriculture is a really great alternative to this because it supports the soil quality. They're holistic farming practices that use closed-loop systems like composting and integrating animal waste, and that promotes soil diversity and creates really nutrient-rich crops that support both the environment and our microbiomes. I also linked a study that is about people living in rural environments versus urban and city life, and it supports the idea that people in developed nations tend to have less diverse microbiomes, which may contribute to a lot of these modern health issues we face today. We have a lot of modern world conveniences, but they're contributing to very inconvenient health issues, so it's just something to think about. Okay, now let's get into how to actually improve gut health. You don't have to do everything. I really encourage you to start slow and focus on the areas that you need the most support, and only introduce one new strategy or supplement at a time. And to make this easier, I have a free gut health and detox toolkit guide. It's essentially an organized guide that breaks down each of the strategies and the supplements and what they do, how to use them, and it includes organized links for quick access to everything. So it basically is just a guide that goes along with what I'm explaining. So I'll link that in the show notes, and it's also in this blog post. And this information is for educational purposes only. Always consult with your doctor before adding new supplements or making changes to your treatment plan. I also have a link to my full script dispensary or my full script store where you can get 20% off high quality professional grade supplements. You can basically find any supplement on there, but it will have pretty much everything that I have linked here. And you can also find other things on there as well. So if you want to save 20% off, you get free shipping when you spend $50 every order. You can use that link. Step number 1, this sounds silly, but it is to be a gentle observer. Reflect on your past and your family health history. Reflect on your symptoms and any diagnoses you've received. And reflect on your current habits and daily routines. I can't tell you how many times I talk to a client and I ask them certain questions about what their habits are and what they're experiencing or noticing in their body, and they can't give me an answer because they literally haven't had the space, the time, the energy to reflect and to observe what's going on. It's kind of this just like chaotic thing, and it's like, oh, I feel bad and I need help. But to be a gentle observer is actually a really big deal. You may already do this, but if you don't, it's a really good first step. And as you assess what might be contributing to your health challenges, be kind to yourself. It is a really big deal because this is how you live your life. Like, the foods you eat are a big deal. Change is not always easy. You don't need to change everything overnight to see really meaningful results. Small intentional shifts can lead to really powerful transformations. Okay, step number 2 is to add in healing tools. So healing your gut is not just about removing things, and it's really helpful to first focus on what you're adding in, so you're not just taking things away and restricting yourself. So we're going to focus on adding in nourishing foods, supplements, habits, and lifestyle shifts that support your body and its natural balance. So you can add good microorganisms in a couple ways. The first is probiotic-rich foods. This is a really simple, easy, natural thing you can do. So kefir, it is kind of a fermented, sour tasting kind of milk thing. If you can get behind that, that's a really powerful, high probiotic food. Sauerkraut and kimchi, which are like fermented veggies or any type of fermented veggies. Yogurt, apple cider vinegar, tempeh, which is fermented soybeans. It's kind of like this block that you can cut up and you can add it to stir fries. It picks up any like sauce or flavor you add. I really enjoy it. Some people don't like it. Miso, raw milk and raw cheese, which essentially means that they haven't been pasteurized. So it's kind of like more like straight from the cow type of deal. And it has a lot of good enzymes and probiotics in there. Also kombucha, which I have a side note about. I went through a whole kombucha phase and I would drink it when I was like winding down at night and then brush my teeth like a couple hours later. And my teeth eventually started to get really sensitive because it's so acidic. So if you are into kombucha, highly recommend rinsing with water and then about a half an hour after you're done drinking it, brush your teeth and maybe drink it through a straw. Also natto and kvass. So these are all probiotic rich foods that you can just add in and they will add good microorganisms into your gut. Also prebiotic rich foods. These are basically food for the probiotics. So asparagus, onions, garlic, sweet potatoes, dandelion greens, bananas that are slightly green, apples with the skin, berries like blueberries and blackberries, oats like steel cut or rolled, lentils, chickpeas, cooked and cooled rice or potatoes, almonds, flax seeds, chia seeds. All of these will feed the probiotics and the good bacteria. And then you also can take a probiotic supplement. I linked a couple of the options that I would use. Now that was all focusing on adding good microorganisms. The next is going to be adding gut lining healers. So gut healing foods are bone broth and aloe vera juice. And when you get the aloe vera juice, look for the inner leaf only in the ingredients. And then gut healing supplements. L-glutamine, zinc carnosine, collagen, bone broth powder, gelatin, colostrum, aloe vera, which could also come in powder and capsules, slippery elm powder, marshmallow root powder, and licorice root powder are all really helpful supplements that help to seal and heal the gut lining. All of these things are linked in the blog post and in the free guide, including some product blends here that combine like a couple of those gut healing supplements into one product. And then in addition to adding those tangible things, some other supportive strategies are around food, just eating real whole food to feed those good microbes and promote healing. Also balancing the meals and using mindful eating strategies like taking deep breaths before eating, not multitasking while eating, slow eating, and chewing really thoroughly. Also eating enough and making sure your body has that fuel to heal. And then also de-stressing. If you can, take a step back from responsibilities that are really stressing you out, especially if it's interfering with your health. Practice mind-body techniques like breath work, meditation, visualization, journaling, EFT tapping, dance, exercise, and engage in calming activities that soothe your nervous system. Also rest, prioritize sleep. It's one of the most beneficial tools and medicine that we have, and it's easy and free. When you're sleeping, your gut has that chance to repair and rebuild, and your gut bacteria has a chance to repopulate. Also, get into nature. Studies show that rural environments support a healthier microbiome, aka just being around a little more plant life and nature. Get outside, breathe fresh air, and surround yourself with nature as much as you can. Also, soul alignment. Do things that make you happy. Dance, talk to friends, play games, enjoy funny content, go to concerts, take walks in nature. Things that make you happy and feel aligned with what your soul is pulling you towards will have such a big impact on your gut health because of that mind-body connection. Also, keep your movement gentle. Avoid overdoing strenuous exercise, especially when your body is tired or sick. When you're trying to heal your gut, gentle movements like yoga, walking, tai chi, dancing, or swimming are way easier on the body and help move your energy without depleting your resources. Okay, so that was all what we're adding in to support gut healing. Now let's talk about what we're going to do to remove the irritating factors or the things that are working against us, whether it's food, lifestyle habits, toxic people, or harmful products. So we talked about adding in good microbes. Let's talk about how to remove bad microbes. So first of all, there are antimicrobial foods that are really powerful. So raw garlic, honey, oregano, coconut oil, ginger, turmeric, apple cider vinegar, which by the way, always dilute and use a straw to protect your teeth if you're just having it on its own, cinnamon, clove, thyme, mustard seed, and cayenne pepper. All of these things fight bad microorganisms. A big part of my gut healing journey was cutting up raw garlic, coating it in honey, and taking it down each day to fight excess yeast or any type of dysbiosis. And then in addition to food, you can also use supplements, which I really relied on. Black seed oil, oil of oregano, which you would want to always dilute, caprylic acid, and herbal blends. So I linked the herbal blends I used. I actually used each one that I linked and I would rotate them. So the products would last me a really long time because I would only, like, for 5 days, I would take one of them, then I would switch to a different one, or I would do 2 at a time or whatever. Like, you can kind of play around. I kind of wrote in the guide how to use them, but these blends and these herbs are really powerful at fighting these pathogenic bacteria, virus, fungi. Also in the guide, I did put asterisks next to the products that I would recommend starting with because I don't want you to feel like you have to buy a bunch of supplements. It's kind of like if you do think you have overgrowth and you want to do something more than food, I want to guide you to the products that I think are most powerful and will get you the most bang for your buck. And I have to be so transparent that, like, these supplements were huge to me. I don't think I could have felt as good as I did without using them. And of course, when you are using these foods and supplements to fight or basically kill off any bad microorganisms, you do want to be adding in probiotics at the same time. That will be really helpful for creating more balance. And then other things to remove. So gradually, as well as you can, removing the fake foods and the chemical and processed foods aim for, like I said in part 3, the no BS healthy eating, aim for 90% real food and 10% treats to keep it balanced so you don't go into too far into restriction where you end up feeling really bad and also end up binge eating fake foods. You kind of just want to have a really good balance and just reduce those fake foods so that it is reducing the burden on your body. Because your body's really strong. It can handle some. But for a lot of people, their body is overburdened and it's too much for their system. So when we have like a little bit of processed food, our body can handle that. But of course, when we're healing, we do want to reduce that as much as we can. Also reduce sugar intake. So processed food, sugary food, starchy food, alcohol. Because like I pointed out before, these bad microorganisms feed on sugar. And eliminate your food sensitivities. So anything that is a food sensitivity, which you can figure out with a food diary or an elimination diet, which I have all the details about in part 3, No BS Healthy Eating. But when you eliminate those food sensitivities, you're really giving your gut the chance to heal. You also want to stop medication overuse. So instead of immediately reaching for antacids or over-the-counter medication for heartburn and acid reflux, there are some natural remedies you could try, like diluted apple cider vinegar, ginger, aloe vera, and natural supplements like Hilma's digestive products, which are what I turn to, and they work incredibly. And just use things like antibiotics or NSAIDs like ibuprofen only when they're absolutely necessary, because they really disrupt gut health. So if you do need them, which sometimes we do, and it's a beautiful thing that we have them and we can use them to alleviate things that are interfering with our life, when you use them, also support your gut with extra probiotics and extra soothing herbs and food. Again, it's just about reducing when we don't necessarily need these problematic medications or foods. And then also reduce toxins. So toxins in self-care products, like you want to check out your toiletries, makeup, lotions, deodorants, and swap those things for cleaner alternatives, which we have an upcoming post about. And then also toxic water, invest in a high quality water filter to remove contaminants. Like I said, that reverse osmosis filter is what we use, and it is, from my research, the best quality water. You want to remove toxic people. Set boundaries, limit your time with toxic people, or walk away when necessary. And toxic environments or jobs. If something is really draining your energy or harming your well-being, explore ways to shift or change it. Everyone's situation is different, but I do point out this like toxic people and toxic environments and jobs because stress is such a real and big impact on our well-being in general and our gut health. So we've talked about being a gentle observer and then adding in healing tools and then adding in tools to get rid of the good guys. Now let's talk about how to optimize your body in eliminating toxins. So when harmful microbes die off, so when we're using these things to fight these harmful or bad bacteria, when they die off, they release toxins. And when they die off in the body, they're releasing toxins into the body. So that can temporarily make you feel worse before you feel better, but this doesn't need to be something that's necessarily an issue. When you support your detox pathways, it can really ease that process and prevent a buildup of toxins, which is what creates discomfort. That's why this step is also so important. So your number one detox pathway, the number one way your body gets rid of toxins and waste, is your bowels. So you can add in bowel supporting food, which is like probiotic foods. They're going to help you go to the bathroom. Prunes, coconut water, chia seed pudding, and fiber rich foods like fruit, veggies, whole grains, and beans. There's also bowel supporting supplements. So it's something you can have in a bottle and you can reach for when you're backed up and you know you need to move these toxins out of your body. There's a few that I have here that I have tried and used and loved. And you want to avoid dependency on laxatives because when you use them, it does create dependency. It can make you be backed up when you're not using them pretty much. So you want to opt for the natural alternatives like the things I have here. Also, stay hydrated. Water and fluids keep the digestive system moving. Also, try a squatty potty. This helps the positional aspect of the bowel movements. And reduce stress. Even taking some time to journal and taking that like mess of just a feeling of overwhelm or stress and putting it into words can help alleviate that and help you relax. And different relaxation techniques can support gut health and may help your body to relax, to release through the bowels. In addition to that, you can also support your liver to eliminate toxins, which is kind of like your detox engine. So there's liver supporting foods which help clear toxins from the bloodstream. So bitter herbs like dandelion or arugula, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, cabbage, etc., ginger, turmeric, beetroot, lemon, olive oil, roasted dandelion tea, calendula tea, astragalus root, these are herbs, chicory root, cardamom, globe artichoke, schizandra berry, reishi mushroom, cordyceps mushroom. All of these foods help support your liver. There's also liver supporting supplements. So some of them are MSM, NAC, milk thistle, selenium, ginger, turmeric, choline, glutathione, and then there's a couple blends that blend things that support the liver. And then there are also some supplements that are just helpful for overall detox, like binding powders, like you may have heard of activated charcoal or bentonite clay or zeolite. These are binding where you take it and it binds and collects pretty much the toxins and gets it out of your body. Other things that can support detox are castor oil packs, which is essentially castor oil over your liver or your abdomen, and it absorbs deep and it supports the liver and your hormones by promoting detox, reducing inflammation, and improving circulation. Also, urine and sweating and through your skin you detox, so drinking enough fluids and peeing and sweating through exercise or the sauna can really help with detox. And also through our breath. We do release toxins through our breath, and somatic breath work and deep breathing can help remove toxins that are stored in the body. And in addition to supporting detox, we also want to improve our stomach acid. Our stomach acid should be extremely acidic, like I said before, ideally between a pH of 1 to 2. So some things you can add to help with your digestion and your stomach acid are digestive acids and digestive enzymes. Digestive acids are the betaine HCl with pepsin mentioned earlier, and digestive enzymes are a little similar to acids. They also help to break down food. Also, bitter herbs like arugula and dandelion can stimulate digestion, so you can either eat them before you eat your food or have them in tincture form called bitters in water or just onto your tongue before eating. And I really recommend Organic Olivia's digestive juice or her gluco bitters. Some other factors that can naturally help you improve your stomach acid are to eat real food rather than the standard American diet. That will naturally improve your stomach acid. Also, avoid medications like proton pump inhibitors or antacids, which reduce stomach acid and can cause long-term issues. And practice mindful eating strategies that prevent acid reflux. But if acid reflux does happen, try natural remedies for acid reflux like slippery elm root or marshmallow root, which you can mix the powders into some water and drink. Or aloe vera juice, which you can just pour and take like a small glass or almost take it like a shot. Ginger root, you can take it in capsule form, make a tea out of it, or just chew on the root. And apple cider vinegar. You can dilute that in water and always use a straw to protect your teeth. And then the last steps are very simple. Rest and give the body the chance to heal itself. And remember that healing takes time. And then also be patient and celebrate small wins along the way, which I know sounds annoying, but it really does help you to be consistent. Lastly, there are some people that might want to try like unique treatment options because their issue is so advanced and extreme. So these would require further research and should only be pursued with the guidance of a healthcare professional, but I just want to make them known in case somebody is like really, really struggling. The first one is raw milk or bone broth fasts. So basically a fast means like you're not eating, and this would involve basically only consuming raw milk and or bone broth for a specific period of time so that the gut can heal and it can replenish enzymes and introduce probiotic bacteria into the gut. And I did hear of a insane story where somebody had an infection. They, I think, had a limb amputated, and they were on a lot of antibiotics, and it was almost impossible for them to recover. They couldn't eat any natural foods, including vegetables. Like, everything hurt their digestive system. And he heard about raw milk, and when he started to drink the raw milk, it was like the only thing his system could handle, and it was giving him so many nutrients, because if you think about it, milk, it comes from a mother to a baby to help the baby grow. So that is why I think that raw milk really helped him. He basically built himself back up to being a just normal person again. But he was like in the hospital for a very long time, and it was looking bleak for him. So he started with like 1 glass and was like, whoa, that was great. And then he kind of, it was the only thing he could handle. So he naturally did that. So when somebody's in like an extreme scenario, I just want to offer that story because it could be a path that could help somebody. But also, bone broth is also extremely nutritious and has collagen and gelatin from the bones that can really help heal and seal the gut lining as well. And then also colostrum. This is the first milk produced by a mother immediately after childbirth, and it is used to replenish probiotic bacteria and heal leaky gut. So you can find this as a supplement, and a lot of people use this. It's not that crazy, but I do think it is, unique. It's a unique source of probiotics. And then the last one is the one that's definitely the most unconventional, and this absolutely would require professional help. But just so you are aware of it, it's called a fecal transplant, and it's basically where it's a process where healthy stool, which is full of beneficial microorganisms, is transferred to a person who might be depleted in these essential microbes. And I think there's different ways that they do the process. I'm not sure. I just wanted you to be aware that that is something for someone who is in an extreme situation. I know that was a lot of information, but now that you have a clearer understanding of what's going on with your gut, check out that free gut health and detox toolkit guide to break down the practical steps and help you to confidently take action to feel better. Healing your gut is definitely a journey. It won't completely change overnight, but understanding the factors that impact your microbiome and taking small intentional steps, whether it's just through mindful eating or stress management or incorporating gut-friendly tools and food and supplements, you can support your body's natural healing process and experience relief right away to some degree, and it can improve and improve. Your gut is at the core of holistic health, and it often impacts all other areas of well-being, whether we aim to heal them or not. So it's kind of a good bang for your buck thing. It helps your gut to help a certain symptom, but it also helps a bunch of other issues. It's one of the main 3 root causes I focus on because these root causes are related to almost all of the health problems that humans have been experiencing in the modern world. So focusing on this and making small, consistent, holistic shifts not only nourish your gut, but improve your overall health, which pave the way to a more vibrant, balanced life that you can live at your full potential. So start where you are and remember that every step forward is progress. Next up, I'll be diving into another one of the 3 root causes, which is nutrient deficiencies. So stay tuned for part 5. Thank you for listening. The best way to say thank you is by subscribing and leaving a review. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone you love or post it on social media and tag me at KristenRoseXO. You can find all my free resources and current offers at KristenRoseXO.com. That's Kristen with an E. Everything is linked for you in the show notes. Have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon.